welcome to Final Fights, and joining me is a man who only started playing basketball because he saw what Peter Weller did in this movie. It's Norbert Morvan.
Say, Mickey Picky.
So you recommended this for the Final Fights, and I've watched this movie before. I wrote an article for Rotten Tomatoes about how much, like, is it better to show creatures on screen more or less? So I clocked about 50 movies worth of monsters. And that led me to watch Leviathan for the first time ever a few years ago. And while watching it, I really enjoyed it. I dug it. I thought that, the Stan Winston effects were fun. It was a bit too big for the set, but I didn't care. But at the end, dude, when Peter Weller does a jump shot with a, giant flare grenade into the mouth of this monster, it's just, say, mother, mother effer. I kind of did a head tilt, Norbert. I kind of did one of the, what?
What? Huh?
And he shot it perfectly into this monster who has all these teeth, right through its teeth, and it landed perfectly into its throat. And
exactly.
I'm like, that's a Peter Weller move right there. I mean, that's a Steven Beck.
Listen, you got to understand, okay? It's 1989. Norbert is, 11 years old, and this movie comes out, and his mind is blown. Because the jump shot form is perfect. The elbow is tucked in.
Yes.
The last thing to touch the flare is the tips of the fingers. Perfect jump shot form, And then we got Peter Weller. Doc, you just signed our death warrant. It's just incredible. He's 3 years off of RoboCop at this point. So you figure, okay, he's going to be doing epic things. No, his next movie is like Leviathan. It's so awesome.
Well, here's the thing, dude. This movie had a budget. So George P. Cosmatos did this. He had directed Rambo and a bunch of other big films. And, they had Stan Winston effects. They went to Rome. To shoot this for 3-4 months.
Wow.
And so what I love is Stan Winston has a StanWinstonSchool.com, and he talks about the making of all of his creatures. So I went on and I read about the making of Leviathan. And a lot of other things, on Congo, they're like, we didn't conquer it. It wasn't great. But this one, they're like, yeah, it was great. George let us direct second unit. We did all the monster stuff. He trusted us with 100%. We made the monster. And then while we were in Italy, we just hung out in Rome, and we, pillaged sets for, old movie props. And then we got our scuba diving certification because we shot a little bit in the water. And so we just scuba dived, made this monster. And it was almost less about the creation of the monster and more about, I had this great margarita pizza, and
So what do you guys seem to be out here? You seem to have a lot of money. You're flashing cash. We're making this crap movie about some kind of genetic alteration that eats people and absorbs their memories. But can I get another margarita, please? That's what they're out there doing.
That's and they're like, it was tough work, but we still scuba dive all the time. And they show pictures out on the ocean. And it's Stan flew in specifically to be with the monster, but he's just hanging out in the water.
What you mentioned earlier about how they don't show the monster a lot, it's to their credit, because even though Stan Winston designed this thing, it gets kind of janky if you see it in its full light. It's a little weird. It definitely looks like a Godzilla costume. It's just rubbery, but the teeth are cool and the eyes are awesome. And it doesn't really kill people as much as it just launches tentacles at you in a real Japanese hentai film kind of way. It's weird.
It does not move much. And I noticed that the flamethrowers in this movie are very light flamethrowers in this film.
Ernie Hudson just carries one in each hand like a boss. He's just incredibly strong, and he's jacked in this movie. So he's just lifting up, and he gets to play the classic movie black guy who gets to spout those awesome lines, but he's not really that guy. And so he just does his thing. I know that what you all when the lady calls, I know that what you all went through, you must be going through hell. He's like, bitch, we still here. Oh man.
And then, what was kind of funny? So at the end, I guess we'll talk about the final fight here. So the final fight is essentially the crew, let's see, Steven, Willie, and Ernie, Justin, I'm sorry, get into their suits, which was also created by Stan Winston. Another random trivia I like about this movie is they shot they made everything blue, and then they didn't go in the water a lot with the suits, and then the suit shoes shot up sand that they laid on the floor to make them look like they were walking in the ocean surface, which is crazy.
That's awesome.
But they go up to the surface, they escape. Peter Weller has to punch a button a bunch of times because the alien's getting into him. The alien moves very slow, by the way, but it's very destructive.
It's the slowest thing in the world.
Slowest thing possible. They get up to the surface, and they're waiting for help, but sharks come, which makes me laugh. I kind of love that. And then...
Talk about having a bad day. Yeah.
And what's not mentioned, the alien gets its head squished when Peter Weller is exiting the ship.
That's correct.
And they're up there waiting, sharks come, then this giant creature just floats to the surface and gets a hold of, Justine, played by Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson, that's right.
And Ernie just goes down like chump change in this. And I thought Peter Weller was swimming back to help him. So I'm like, oh, he's going to have a rescue scene, Ernie Hudson's going to live. You can't have Ehud dying in a movie. Then so when he does the jump shot into the flare into the monster's mouth, I'm like, man. And then you see Ehud floating to drowning. I'm like, what?
He drowned him. Yeah.
Why is in 30 seconds Ehud gets drowned and Peter Weller jump shots this creature's mouth, and that's the final fight.
Well, you see, actually, the final fight starts a little bit before that. I gotta push back on you here. What happened? Okay, the final fight actually begins when they realize that the creature likes to devour blood. That's how it feeds. It feeds on blood. So they make this ridiculous trap to catch it by Peter Weller. Oh, I'm pretending that I'm dying over here, and I've used my actual blood plasma all over the ground to make a trail. And then, oh no, the creature realizes, aha, I'm going to eat that woman. What's her name? Amanda Pays?
Yep.
Willie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Willie. Amanda Payne, yep.
Yeah, okay, so... She ruins the plan by jogging because for some reason she is going to be an astronaut after this is over. So her exercise is interrupted and she realizes, oh my God, there's a deadly creature. And the creature comes after her very slowly, but doesn't use its tentacles this time. And then absorbing the mind power of Hector Elizondo, aka Cobb, it damages the air, which causes decompression, 5 minutes. And the best part is that decompression goes from 5 minutes to 1 minute. And then just before they jump into the suit, decompression goes to 3 minutes, countdown again. It was so great.
And then I like when they finally grab Willie, she goes, ah! And they're like, shh.
Yes.
I'm like, that monster knows where you're at, guys. That thing's on its way.
The screaming in this movie. The screaming in the movie is so weird because her scream, most people when a monster comes, they're like, ah, or ah. She goes, oh.
Oh, hey.
And Peter Weller, his scream is always, ah. like he's recording dialogue for a video game character, Okay, Peter. So what we're gonna do now? We're gonna simulate the character being punched. Okay, sure. Am I being punched in the stomach or? Maybe I'm being punched in the throat. Peter, just go with it. Okay, here it is. Oh! It's so bizarre, man. Oh! These are the things that stick with me when I watch this movie, man.
And then, I love how sweaty Hector Elizondo is in this movie before his demise. And
man.
Richard Crenna going full Richard Crenna in it.
Totally.
You doomed us, Doc.
Right.
Because he lets go of all the pods.
Yes, because, one of the many sci-fi tropes is that the smartest one among us realizes that humanity cannot be exposed to this whatsoever, so we should sacrifice ourselves. Yeah, totally.
Good old Richard Crenna. Yeah. And then you got, I love that Daniel Stern plays a guy named Sixpack.
He plays a guy named Sixpack who definitely would be caught up in the Me Too movement at this point. That guy is dirty in this movie, man.
Yes, he is. I really don't miss those characters, Norbert. Those guys that are just there to make those horrible comments.
And just push up on women and grind them and slap their butt just out of the blue. Yeah.
And I can't believe, so David Webb Peoples and Jeb Stewart, the guys responsible for writing Blade Runner and Die Hard, did this script.
Exactly. Well, to their credit, they make this guy such a scumbag that when he actually does kick the bucket, you're like, awesome. Yeah. It's so good that this man is dead. And chills moment in this movie, actually, after he's dead. We know he's dead, and then Ehud comes into the room. Hey, Sixpack, you really left us hanging, and the bag starts moving. I was like, oh my God! When I was a kid, I was like, oh snap, that's great.
I mean, listen, this is a fun, unpretentious creature feature. Would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. The movie knows we're ripping off aliens, every other slimy creature. Yeah, the Thing, they just wrote down, instead of a script, they had a piece of paper with a checklist. Okay, what did Alien do? Okay, slimy creature, check. Hangs out in the dark, check. Chest burster, check. Evil company that doesn't care if we die, check. Okay, let's get this movie going,
Yeah, they're all declared dead by the company.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's right.
Now,
that's right.
I guess we're kind of leading into the final fight, so I guess where I'm at right now is Willie and Justin Ehud are going up, and it's just Peter Weller hanging in. But Peter Weller grabs the fakest axe that I've ever seen in my life.
That's right.
That axe was made out of like tinfoil. Not even tinfoil, like just pure plastic.
Well, you figure that they had to spend only a little bit of money on the axe because the device that he's using to fix the ship is shaped like a gun, kind of attached to a screwdriver. So that's where all the budget went. That and the clearly 7,000-pound flamethrowers,
Yeah. Man. Ernie Hudson's shoulders. Let's just discuss those. Like he would have picked that monster up in the water.
Jacked. Well, this is the thing, the monster spends so much time either tentacle porning characters to death or ripping through their chest, and then for him it just drowns him, Yep. It was like, come on, Ehud, you could do better than that. Especially the feats of strength that he showed in this movie. As the place is about to implode, the door is sliding over,
and he holds it.
Strength of the bear, yo.
Yeah.
It's just strength of the bear. So he's clearly not a weakling. He's jacked. How does the Leviathan just drown him? And he sacrifices himself so that Willie can get away to go to Space Camp 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's like, come on, Ernie.
Yeah, Ehud. And you know what's funny? In my notes, I have good friend written down.
He was a good friend, man.
And then next to Peter Weller, I have cheekbones.
I don't understand why they got a man who just, all I do is rocks, I don't know how to do anything. But Doc, you're supposed to be there, subsection 3 of the contract says. I love that guy, man.
Yeah.
I love his voice.
And then, all right, I got to say the MVP of this final fight is the helicopter pilot. So they're in the water, the sharks are there, this creature comes up, and this helicopter pilot, instead of going, screw this, the helicopter pilot goes, get down there and get him.
Totally.
That's respect, right?
Listen, he keeps his head. To his credit, he directs the team in a pressure-packed situation. When the genetic alteration just exposes itself, he doesn't freak out or anything. He's just like, okay, I'm flying the plane. It's not going to get here. Clearly I'm good. So absolutely.
This is 89. That gentleman looked to be about 50. Maybe he was like a chopper pilot in, Vietnam or some conflict. You know what I mean? Like he's seen worse than this. So I looked up the name. This is like Homo aquaticus is what the name is. So he's like, I saw 3 of those.
It was like, this ain't worse than anything we saw flying over the rice paddies in Da Nang.
Yeah, exactly. The apocalypse now that's based on me.
Exactly. While he's sitting there looking at the monsters trying to drown Ernie Hudson and Willie's on the plane, and the only thing in his head is doom 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 doom. Da Nang, we're back. It's happening again. You been out to bada, boo-boo-bee. He's having an acid flashback. It reminds me of the time Billy was face down in the mud and the blood. All I had to do was keep my hand on a stick. Yeah, things were going dark.
I promise I'd never ever lose anybody ever again.
In the night.
Oh man,
I'm sorry.
Is he not the MVP, right? He keeps his head. Ernie Hudson can only hold his breath for 15 seconds.
All of that weight training, the cardio was for naught. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't do much cardio, just lifting. So he has more like show muscles. He doesn't have like wiry muscles. Like the guy from The Replacement. Exactly.
Had he been on the Mark Hoffmeyer, you too can be incredibly sexy and have cardio plan, he would still be here, Yep. He could have used that same strength to hold the incredibly heavy door open. He could have used that to kind of punch the thing in the face, like the brother from Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Goes to Hell, where he just wants to throw hands with Jason. Why didn't he do that to the Leviathan,
Oh, yeah. Dude, also, Jason Goes to